What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is Winning Wednesday. I would love to see a win in the chat. I would love to see a win in the chat. As you were tuning in, let me know how your day is going. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you're watching this at a later time, hashtag replay so that way I know that you saw it. But today, we're going to be talking about something that I don't normally write out my lives. I usually kind of have like a couple of bullet points that I like to hit on. But I kind of wrote this one out just because it's something that I really wanted to like fully I don't know, express and really kind of deep dive into the benefits that I have seen by going on like a daily or semi-daily walk with my family. I go on pretty much a daily walk every day, but I always try to also go on a evening walk or some level of being active with my family in the evenings. And you know, not every day is perfect, obviously. And so, you know, there are some days where it does feel almost impossible to do that. But you know, on those days that I've noticed when we've made ourselves do it anyways, those seem to be, you know, the days that mattered the most to actually, you know, push ourselves, and stay disciplined to that. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today is like how, a daily walk in the evening or how being active, with my family, has really made a huge impact on my life, my own fitness journey, as well as just, you know, as a parent, to my kid and as a partner to Jessica. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm going to be kind of like deep diving on this. And so I hope that you guys get value from this. We're going to start this here in just a second. I'm going to hit record, and then we're going to kind of deep dive into it. But full transparency, I do talk about like my own mental health and stuff like that in this. And so if that's something, if you're kind of struggling with right now, like you'll probably want to hear about it because it's, you know, I am, you know, I've never been shy to be authentic or to talk about, you know, what I've gone through in the past. But, you know, just so you know, like I'm going to, you know, just be talking about some vulnerable shit, and I hope that's cool. And that's just kind of who I am, and that's what I want to talk about. And so, because I think it's important to like share, you know, the good things and the bad things sometimes that happen. And so, yeah, we're going to get this kicked off here in just a second. So here we're going to go. 3, 2, 1. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Fit Parent Project. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I've been doing a lot of lately, something that I've been thinking a lot about, and I've been trying to think about how I, you know, wanted to do an episode on this topic, because it's something that me and my family have been doing a lot more of lately, and we've almost basically turned it into part of our routine and part of our habit. And I've noticed that it's had a lot of like really positive impacts on my life and on my family's life, both as, you know, a dad and as a partner to my wife. And so, and I want to share that with you guys because I think that, you know, it could have a great benefit to you as it has to me. And full transparency, during this episode, I do talk about my own mental health. I like to be transparent and vulnerable and just share this stuff just because we all go through this shit sometimes. And I think that it's important to shine a light on that oftentimes. And so let's get this kicked off. So what that thing is that we have been doing, right? What that thing is that we have been doing a lot more lately, is making a concerted effort, because it's a simple thing. It's a very simple thing that we've been doing, but making a concerted effort every evening after we pick up my kid from school is to do something active. Is to do something active, as simple as that sounds. And because we've noticed that there's like a clear difference in how our nights go for our kiddo and as us as parents when we opt for going to the park or for a walk, instead of just sitting on the couch or in bed and watching a show or multiple shows or episodes of something, as I'm sure that, you know, you all are probably familiar with from time to time. And so, you know, I really want to also like, you know, preface, you know, granted that we aren't perfect parents or people at times, right? Like there are times where, you know, some days are just way harder than others. And I really want to emphasize that, you know, on those days, you know, sometimes we make it happen, and sometimes we don't. And on those days that we do make it happen where it felt impossible, it almost like proves it to ourselves that we can do it and that we are disciplined and that we, that it feels really good. And some of those days were our best days. And so I don't want to say that to discourage you that, you shouldn't on those days, try, right? Because they have made a big impact, but, we're not perfect. And I just want to emphasize that, some days we don't go on that walk, but, we really do try. And so, some days are just harder than others, right? So like my wife's a veterinarian. She works like a very high adrenaline filled, stressful day more often than not. I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I run a successful 6-figure online coaching business for sustainable fitness and fat loss journeys. And I work with a lot of parents and I work with a lot of people who've got a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes, the days can get heavy sometimes. And, some days are pretty stressful just managing things and, not complaining because I truly do live for what I do, and live for it. But that buildup of stress over the course of the day does, weigh heavy sometimes once you try to turn off for the day or for the evening. And so, it's easy to order takeout, right? And it's easy to distract everyone with a show, when all you want to do is escape, right? What you just went through for the day, especially if you work full time or even if you're a stay-at-home mom or a dad. Like I get it. Like I was a stay-at-home dad for like 6 months to a year, and it's freaking hard. Like you never get to leave work, and sometimes it can feel like a prison. So I totally get it. But this is what you're missing out on by doing that on a regular basis, right? Or by not going on this walk or being active in the evenings after you pick your kid up from school or whatever, however your kind of routine goes. But this is what you're missing out on by not, by doing that to yourselves on a regular basis. And I'm not, I'm going to be the first one to admit, if we go out and we're having dinner and my kid's in a mood, we try to work through that mood. But if we can't, hey, I don't want to be in a restaurant getting screamed at, I'm going to give you your tablet probably kind of deal. If we've, pulled out all the stops, I'll be the first one to admit that, we do that sometimes. And so, but by doing, that on a regular basis and going for distraction, as like your first line of defense or your first thing that you do when you get home, right? You're missing out on time to actually get to know your kid on a deeper level. And hindsight's 2020. But I feel like that's definitely something that, we've learned and grown from, in a sense, in our own journey as parents, that maybe we didn't necessarily recognize or we weren't, paying attention to at first. And so, you're missing out on a chance to ask them about how their day went and not get a distracted, like superficial response because they're distracted by a TV show. You're whether that's, for you or for your kid, either way, you're kind of like, especially for yourself, you're numbing or like blunting the pain that you don't want to sit in or process, that you're just like covering up oftentimes. And we all have those thoughts and we all have those feelings sometimes. And maybe, your kid does too at times. And instead of teaching them, to talk about those things, what we're doing is we're teaching them and ourselves to just deflect and cover up. And I don't think that's the way that we should be going about that. And I don't want that for myself, right? And I can't tell you how to parent your kids and you can't tell me how to parent my kids. But this is just some things and some observations that I've noticed and that I've had for my own journey, in my own fitness journey and my own parent journey. And so, I don't want that for myself. I've spent and to be transparent, right? Even recently during like my last like bout of depression, a lot of time just trying to cover that up. That feeling or that numbness because I was in pain, right? I was in pain. I was not in, I was in a deep pain that just like would not go away. And to be transparent again, like I don't know why the pain was there, right? I don't think anybody initially knows why they're going through pain or they're struggling, especially if it's, mental health related. But my brain wanted to fix it. Right, in those moments. And so maybe, and I'm talking about this just because I know a lot of people that go through this. I know a lot of my clients that go through this. And so, I'm hoping, and maybe you go through this from time to time. And so, but, in that moment, my brain was, seeking, or it sought to fix it and to get rid of that pain. And so, and now that my mind is out of that place, because, one just, side tangent, found out that, my testosterone was likely playing a role in that depressive episode that I had. I feel like now that it's not an issue, I feel like it's so much easier to, say, no to those, distractions or those cover-ups that I was using as like a Band-Aid in those moments. And so, just to really throw it all out there and just, really kind of put myself out there, I was smoking weed pretty much every night. I didn't do it during the day, but because I really can't be productive whenever I do that. And, I care about being productive and showing up more than I do about having that, like, that nightcap of sorts. But, I spent every night, after we fixed dinner and had dinner, I would, smoke a bowl out in the back or I would drink, like 2 to 4, drinks just to take the edge off and to kind of get my brain into this, like, out of that, like that pain or out of that numbness that I was kind of like feeling or trying to like cover up. And as a fitness and nutrition coach, right. Who knows how, and I think everything in moderation is okay, but who knows how bad that is and how bad that can be, right, for somebody's journey and knows better, but still does it anyways. That can lead to a lot of like shame, right? That can lead to a lot of like feelings of like imposter syndrome. And when you're in it, you don't really like, you don't really realize that you're in it, right? And it kind of sneak up on you that you realize that you're doing these things kind of on a more regular basis, or that you're doing these things not to have fun, but to numb yourself or to deflect or to just not feel like, in a shitty mood kind of deal. And so I was going through that. And so, at the end of the day, does it affect like my knowledge or my confidence in being able to lead someone to their goal? No, like, I'm just as smart and just as capable, because I wasn't doing it during work time or anything like that. But I was in pain, right? And I was so ashamed that I was ignoring what I was using to cope instead of calling it out, because I didn't feel like I had anyone who could relate to me on that level, right? And so, not having anybody that could empathize with me. And so, I just want to let you know, like, and I say this to shine a light on it because, I have it, at any given time, like anywhere from like 30 to 50 clients that I work with. And I'm making like, really good money, and I have, a borderline like perfect family, and, I'm living the dream for real. And it still happened to me. Right. And it can happen to anyone. And so, I don't want anyone to feel like that they're, because no one is protected from pain or shame at times. Right. So I know how hard it can be, and shame, I just want to let you guys know, and this is kind of like a quote I want you guys to like hold on to, is that, shame can't survive in the light. It can only grow in darkness. And so, if you can shine a light on that or bring it to light or, point it out and be honest about it, you're going to probably get to a place or a solution a hell of a lot faster. And I'm going to be the first one to say, like, it can be hard sometimes. Like whenever I am, in a place of like, a low point with my mental health or things like that, all I want to do is be reclusive and hide away and not, be around people. I don't have any energy. I'm fatigued. I don't want to feel like a burden, kind of shit like that. But you got to recognize that that's like making things worse. Okay. Now that we're done with that kind of tangent, just so you guys kind of know where I'm coming from here, and I get, sometimes what people are going through, getting back to the point of this episode about being active in the evenings and just deciding and acting on that idea, right? That to be active, right? Going for that family walk or going to the park or playing a game in your front yard, for us has really helped me, help me not distract me from the pain or the exhaustion in the evenings, but it actually helps me feel more connected to the present moment rather than trying to escape from it, right? And the other thing, guess what else is great about being active in the evenings is you are more active. In and of itself is a benefit. You get more steps in, you burn more calories, you make more headway towards your goals than you otherwise would have if you weren't doing those things. And so, I've noticed I truly, when we're active in the evenings, I truly tap myself out physically in a good way, and I sleep better instead of just being mentally exhausted, right? Or emotionally exhausted more so than anything, and just staying up way too late trying to keep the party going for the sake of, keeping it going, which helps me get up earlier and get a head start on my day the next day, which just helps a ton for overall productivity and getting my workouts done in the mornings when I should be, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, having a morning routine. It really does make a big impact, because I've noticed, it's like, oh, like I'm not most of the time I'm not physically tired. I'm emotionally and mentally tired at the end of the day. And that's kind of like coming out in the form of being like physically kind of lazier in the evenings. And so I've noticed if we, have it part of our routine to go for a walk or do something like that, as a family, like it's like, oh shit, like I start to feel better. I'm like, oh damn, like I wasn't actually tired. I had a lot more gas in the tank, and then whenever I get home, I'm like, afterwards, I'm like, oh, now I'm actually physically tired and I'm ready to, tap out for the night and go to bed. And so it's helped a lot in that way too. Another benefit, which a lot of the parents I think are going to enjoy from this, is that my kid just sleeps way better and puts up way less of a battle going to bed because they're, more tired, too, which helps with our routine tremendously. They're not getting that like dopamine splurge at the end of the day from their TV or from their tablet or whatever it may be. And so they're not like, fighting you to try and like watch an episode of something before bed, or, arguing with you about that kind of stuff before bed because it wasn't, introduced to them that evening. It wasn't spiked with them that evening. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind, which is really nice. And it really does kind of smooth, the bedtime routine over, quite a bit. And so, another thing though that I've noticed that I really enjoy is that I've noticed on our walks with our kid, he will ask us complex questions, and we'll have complex conversations about wildlife. We'll talk about space. We were explaining the moon and the sun and how the solar system works, like on one of our last walks, which I think was like really cool. That if we never took the moment to slow down and go for that walk, that we would have never had the opportunity to explore that at home, where he's being distracted by like a mindless TV show, where we're being distracted by that TV show. And so unplugging just feels so nice at times, especially for me because of what I do for work on the daily. I'm just surrounded by screens and computers, and I'm like, that's all I do all day pretty much, is answering questions and things like that. And so it feels really nice to like get away from my phone in a sense. And like, I'm gonna be honest, like, so my phone was, and I might have mentioned this on one of the other episodes, like my phone has been kind of like busted for the last couple of days. And so, I wasn't able to pay as much attention to it throughout the day as it was getting fixed. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like I forgot what this was like to not be just like glued to my phone all day or glued to my computer screen all day. And it was pretty refreshing, to be honest. And so, And so lastly, I'll say this. You are creating so many healthy habits by choosing to do this for yourself. But not only that, you are also bestowing these healthy habits onto your kids too. They're growing up doing something that maybe you never did or had the opportunity to do because your parents didn't do something like that with you. And that can create a lasting impact on everyone who participates. And so, there just seems to be so many added benefits from doing this that, I truly hope that you start doing it yourself. Don't tell yourself that you can't because this or that, but try to look for ways that you can do this, right? Don't look for the ways that you can't, look for the ways that you can. It may not seem convenient or easy to do at first, but honestly, nothing worth doing rarely is. And so, give it a try for a few weeks. Start out maybe slower, go 3 days a week or 5 days a week, but try to do it. Try to work your way up to like 5 to 7 times a week and just start to see the benefits that, my family and I have seen on a personal level. And at the end of the day, it's going to make your journey in fitness better, and it's going to make your family life and ability to connect and chat about your day by being present with them better too. And I hope that you got value from this. And at the end of the day, I can't make you do anything, but, I hope that you'll choose to maybe indulge in this idea and participate. And, if you do end up doing it and you see the benefit from it, like I have, please let me know. I would love to hear about that. But on that note, I'll talk to you guys later. Boom. What's up, everybody? How's it going? I am going to hop off here. I hope that you guys got value from this. I hope that this was helpful for you. And I hope that, I hope that maybe you will participate and do kind of what I talked about today, because honestly, it's made a huge difference in my life over the last several months, just doing this on a regular basis. Now that we've kind of got our routine kind of like set up the way we want it to as a family. Now that we've since we moved to this new area as of January, and so I really enjoy it. I think it's it's something that is pretty invaluable, and it's something that we're going to definitely continue to do just because there's just so much benefit to doing it. And it's something so simple, but it's something that I've noticed that, it's not like these crazy things that you have to do on all like one time. It's the small, easy things that you do consistently that add up and make a big difference. And so, on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later.